Welcome, everyone. Today, I'm going to share an incredible story of resilience, courage, and triumph, about a young boy who faced unimaginable hardships, humiliation, and loss, only to rise from the ashes and forge his destiny. Stay with me, because this is a tale you won't want to miss. Arin was born with nothing but the soot on his face and the weight of humiliation on his shoulders. His earliest memories were of hunger and cold, of hands too small to hold a hammer yet forced to work in the forge of his father, a blacksmith barely scraping by. One winter, a nobleman came to their village demanding repairs for his warhorse's armor. Arin's father worked tirelessly, but the nobleman, dissatisfied with the result, refused to pay. Instead, he struck Arin's father down with the butt of his sword and left him to die in the snow. At just 7 years old, Arin lost everything. His mother, too weak to carry on, followed soon after, leaving Arin alone in a world that didn't care for orphans. The villagers pitied him but only from a distance. They gave him scraps when they felt generous, but most sneered at him, calling him the Ashen Boy, a child destined for failure. His father's forge, once a place of creation, now sat cold and abandoned, its tools rusting away like forgotten dreams. For years, Arin endured the taunts, the hunger, and the bitter cold of living in a broken forge. He scavenged for food, begged for work, and dreamed of a day when he could prove them all wrong. But such dreams were fleeting, crushed by the weight of survival. As a teenager, he took work wherever he could find it, hauling coal, sharpening dull blades, cleaning the forges of men who laughed at him for daring to touch their tools. One day, the ridicule went too far. A group of apprentices at the local smithy cornered him in the market, mocking him for wearing his father's oversized leather apron like it meant something. "You're nothing but trash," one boy sneered, shoving him to the ground. "Your father was a failure, and so are you." The crowd laughed as Arin picked himself up, his hands trembling with rage. He said nothing, but in his heart, he swore he would rise above them. He would become a blacksmith greater than any they had ever known. Years later, when Arin was just 20, the kingdom of Valdoria fell into chaos. The dreaded Wyrm of Dreadspire descended from the mountains, leaving a trail of fire and ruin in its wake. The king, desperate to save his people, issued a decree: anyone who could slay the beast would be granted riches beyond imagination. Warriors from across the land flocked to the capital, their weapons gleaming, their armor shining. But none could stand against the Wyrm, whose scales were said to be harder than the finest steel. When word of the Wyrm reached Arin's village, the local blacksmiths scrambled to produce weapons for the would-be heroes passing through. Arin, desperate to prove himself, approached the master blacksmith, Grelk, and offered his help. Grelk sneered. "You, a filthy orphan, think you can make weapons worthy of heroes? Get out of my sight before I throw you in the slag heap." Humiliated but undeterred, Arin returned to his father's abandoned forge. The tools were rusted, the bellows torn, but the anvil still stood strong. He worked late into the night, hammering scraps of metal into crude shapes, testing himself, pushing his limits. But no matter how hard he tried, his weapons shattered under the slightest pressure. He realized he needed to learn from someone greater. Arin had heard tales of a legendary blacksmith, Master Thalos, who lived deep in the Iron Fang Mountains. Thalos's blades were said to be unbreakable, his craft unmatched. Determined, Arin packed what little he had and set off toward the mountains. The journey was grueling. The icy winds cut through his thin clothes, and his boots fell apart as he climbed the treacherous paths. Wolves stalked him at night, and his food ran out within days. When he finally reached Thalos's forge, he was on the brink of collapse. The old blacksmith, a towering figure with arms like tree trunks, looked down at him with disdain. "Another fool seeking glory," Thalos muttered. "What makes you think you're worth my time?" Arin fell to his knees. "I've lost everything," he said, his voice hoarse. "I've been mocked, beaten, and left to rot. But I refuse to give up. Teach me, and I will prove myself. The Los saw the fire in Arin's eyes and agreed to train him, but the old smith was unrelenting. For months, Arin endured backbreaking labor, hauling molten ingots, hammering steel until his hands bled, and working the bellows until his lungs burned. A blade is only as strong as the will of its maker, the Los said. And your will is weak. Keep going. One day, the Los revealed the truth. No ordinary steel could pierce the WIRM scales. You need a shard of starfire, he said, pointing to the heavens. A piece of a fallen star lies deep within the mountains. But it is guarded by something far older and deadlier than the dragon. Arin ventured into the mountain's heart, where he found a shard glowing with a silver-blue light. But it was guarded by a colossus, a stone guardian that towered over him, its eyes burning like molten lava. The battle was brutal. Arin dodged the golem's crushing blows, using the environment to his advantage. With clever thinking, he lured the creature into a narrow passage, where it became trapped. Striking at its joints, he brought it down and claimed the shard. With the shard in hand, Arin returned to Thalas's forge. Forging the Starfire Blade was unlike anything he had ever done. The shard resisted the heat, and each strike of the hammer sent sparks flying like shooting stars. For 3 days and nights, Arin worked without rest, pouring his soul into the blade. When it was finished, it gleamed with an unearthly light, its edge impossibly sharp. You've done it, the Los said, his voice filled with pride. This blade is worthy of a legend. Arin returned to his village just as the WIRM descended, its shadow darkening the earth. The warriors who had mocked and cowered in fear, their weapons useless. But Arin stood firm, the Starfire Blade in his hand and determination in his heart. The battle was fierce. The WIRM's fiery breath scorched the land, and its claws tore through stone. But Arin fought with everything he had, dodging its attacks and striking where its scales were weakest. With a final, desperate blow, he drove the Starfire Blade into the dragon's heart, and the beast let out a deafening roar before collapsing. The villagers who had once ridiculed Arin now hailed him as a hero. But Arin sought no glory. He returned to his father's forge, where he rebuilt it with his own hands, creating weapons that would change the lives of those around him. They no longer called him the Ashen Boy. They called him Arin the Starforged, a man who overcame humiliation and hardship to forge his destiny, and a legacy that would burn brighter than any star. And so, Arin's journey teaches us that no matter how difficult life may seem, with resilience, determination, and belief in oneself, we can overcome even the greatest challenges. From a boy mocked and humiliated, he rose to become a hero, proving that our struggles can forge us into something stronger than we ever imagined. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more inspiring tales like this, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.